Could you imagine a day so devastating that it managed to shake an entire nation to its core? August 4th, 2020. A day imprinted on the heart of Beirut, Lebanon's capital, forever. An ordinary day turned tragic when an explosion of staggering magnitude erupted in the city's port. The cause? Hundreds of metric tons of ammonium nitrate, a volatile substance improperly stored and left ignored, despite numerous warnings to authorities about the looming danger. The explosion was not merely a loud bang. It was a shockwave that echoed across the nation, leaving behind a trail of profound devastation. Over 200 lives were lost in the blink of an eye. The city, known for its vibrant culture and historical charm, was reduced to ruins. The damage was catastrophic, with the cost of destruction estimated between $3.8 to $4.6 billion. The explosion, however, did not only shake the physical structures of Beirut, it shook the very foundations of trust and confidence the people had in their political class. Questions arose, suspicions were kindled. Who was responsible for the ignition of the ammonium nitrate? Was it an accident or a deliberate act? These questions reverberated through the minds of the grieving survivors, who were left to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives. Yet, amid the despair, the spirit of Beirut remained unbroken. The city, though scarred, refused to bow down to the catastrophe. The people, though grieving, held on to the hope of justice, accountability, and above all, a better tomorrow. A day that will forever be etched in the annals of Beirut's history. But what events led up to this catastrophic event? How does a disaster of this magnitude happen in the heart of a bustling city? Let's rewind the clock and plunge into the murky depths of the events leading up to that fateful day. The stage for the Beirut explosion was set years in advance, a series of unfortunate decisions and sheer negligence setting a deadly trap in the heart of the city. In the heart of Beirut's port lay a ticking time bomb. Hundreds of metric tons of ammonium nitrate, a highly explosive material, were improperly stored. This lethal mix sat, largely ignored, a tragedy waiting to happen. Multiple warnings were fired off to authorities, desperate pleas echoing in the halls of power, yet falling on deaf ears. The danger lurking in the city's port was well and truly known, but the urgency of the situation was tragically underestimated. Now, let's delve into the speculation around the ignition. The exact cause remains shrouded in mystery, a puzzle that is yet to be solved. Some theories suggest that sparks from welding works might have triggered the explosion. Others hint at the possibility of an intentional act, a chilling thought that sends shivers down the spine. The presence of major political parties at the port has thrown an even darker shadow over the events, raising uncomfortable questions about their involvement. The timing of the explosion, suspiciously close to when the caretaker prime minister received a file on the situation at the port, has added another layer of intrigue to this tragic event. In the midst of the chaos, reports began to emerge that less ammonium nitrate exploded than initially thought. This led to speculation that factions in Lebanon may have siphoned off the chemical, a twist in the tale that further complicates the narrative. So we're left with a disturbing picture of a disaster that could have been avoided. A lethal stockpile, multiple ignored warnings, suspicious political involvement, and a mysterious ignition. It's a story of negligence and possible corruption, a narrative that paints a grim picture of the lead-up to the explosion. A ticking time bomb ignored and overlooked until it was too late. In the wake of destruction, what becomes of a city and its people? After the smoke cleared and the shockwaves subsided, Beirut was left in ruins. The port, once a bustling hub of activity, was reduced to a desolate landscape of rubble and debris. The explosion had caused extensive damage to the port and surrounding neighborhoods, leaving a deep scar on the city's face. But the physical damage was only the beginning. The economic toll was even more detrimental. With an estimated cost between $3.8 and $4.6 billion, the explosion further exacerbated Lebanon's existing economic crisis. The city grappled with currency devaluation, power outages, and shortages of essential supplies, pushing the residents to the brink. The aftermath of the explosion revealed a city in grief, struggling to pick up the pieces. Survivors mourned their lost loved ones, their homes, and their city as they knew it. The blast not only wrecked concrete and glass, but also shattered dreams and disrupted countless lives. In the face of such adversity, the resilience of the Beirut residents was put to the test. The rebuilding efforts have been primarily privately funded or supported by nonprofit organizations. Yet many of the affected individuals did not have the means or the desire to return to their damaged neighborhoods. The explosion had left a void in their hearts that couldn't be filled by mere bricks and mortar. This tragic event also raised questions about the role of major political parties. Their presence at the port, the timing of the explosion, and the suspiciously less amount of ammonium nitrate that exploded than initially thought, all led to speculation and demands for accountability. It was clear that the explosion was not just a random disaster, but a symptom of deeper systemic issues. The explosion not only devastated structures, but it also shattered lives and livelihoods. The aftermath of the Beirut Port explosion is a testament to the profound impacts that such a disaster can have on a city and its people, far beyond the immediate physical destruction. When disaster strikes, who is held responsible? In the wake of the Beirut explosion, the finger of blame was pointed squarely at Lebanon's political class. This catastrophe wasn't just a random act of nature or an unfortunate accident, it was a disaster that many believe could have been avoided if the warning signs hadn't been ignored. The explosion was caused by the ignition of hundreds of metric tons of improperly stored ammonium nitrate. Letters warning about the danger posed by these chemicals had been sent to the authorities multiple times. But were these warnings heeded? Apparently not. The political class in Lebanon is overwhelmingly blamed for the disaster. But what does this mean? Who exactly are we talking about? The presence of major political parties at the port raises questions about their involvement. Could they have known about the dangerous storage conditions and done nothing? Or worse, could they have had a hand in the explosion itself? These are the questions that survivors and their families, still grieving their loss, are desperate to have answered. And then there's the speculation around the siphoning off of the ammonium nitrate. Reports suggest that less ammonium nitrate exploded than initially thought. Could factions within Lebanon have taken some of the chemical for their own purposes? The timing of the explosion, shortly after the caretaker prime minister received a file on the situation at the port, has also been deemed suspicious by many. The public's trust in their leaders is shattered. Their city is in ruins, their loved ones are gone, and the people who were supposed to protect them are now the ones under suspicion. The demand for accountability is loud, clear, and urgent. But in a country already struggling with an economic crisis, the wheels of justice are turning slowly, if at all. The search for accountability continues, but will justice ever be served? Only time will tell. And until then, the people of Beirut wait, caught in the crossfire of a tragedy that should have never been. In the face of adversity, how does a city rebuild? This question has echoed through the ravaged streets of Beirut following the catastrophic port explosion. The recovery process is a testament to human resilience, a narrative of rebuilding and resurgence, but it is not without its hurdles. Post-explosion, Beirut's recovery efforts have been largely shouldered by private entities and nonprofit organizations. These groups have stepped in where government action has faltered, pouring resources into reconstruction, cleanup, and humanitarian aid. From rubble removal to the restoration of damaged structures, these privately funded initiatives have become the lifeblood of Beirut's revival. Yet the support from nonprofit organizations has been equally vital. These groups have rallied to address the immediate needs of the affected population, providing food, water, and medical aid. They've also offered psychological support, a crucial element in healing a city still reeling from the trauma of the disaster. However, the road to recovery is not solely about physical reconstruction. It's also about the individuals affected by the disaster, their lives irrevocably altered. Many find themselves torn between the desire to return to their homes and the painful memories these damaged neighborhoods hold. For others, financial constraints make it impossible to rebuild, their dreams buried beneath the rubble. These personal struggles are a stark reminder that the recovery process extends beyond just bricks and mortar. It's about healing a city's spirit, about restoring hope amidst the ruins. And while the path to recovery is strewn with obstacles, the resilience of the Beirut citizens continues to shine through. Their determination, their refusal to be beaten by adversity, is the city's most potent tool in its restoration. The road to recovery is long and fraught with challenges, but the spirit of Beirut remains unbroken. In the face of disaster, the city continues to rise, its people standing steadfast, their eyes set firmly on the future. The echoes of the explosion may still linger, but so too does the indomitable spirit of Beirut.